The animated world of Avatar,
Mm,
The Last Airbender just has this incredible staying power, doesn't it?
mm.
And you, just like us, have probably stumbled down those fascinating rabbit holes of fan theories,
Mhm.
those what-ifs that keep the story alive long after the credits roll.
Mm.
So that's precisely where we're headed today.
Hmm.
We're taking a deep dive into some of the most talked about and, well, enduring fan interpretations of the series.
Absolutely. We've gathered a really compelling collection of these fan-driven ideas, the collective imagination of a community deeply invested in this world.
Right.
Our goal in this deep dive is to not just, list these theories, but to really explore what makes them so captivating
Yeah, what's behind them?
and what they might tell us about the show itself and how we connect with it. Think of it as getting the essence of these discussions without having to scroll through countless forums.
Okay, let's jump into a theory that kind of flips the whole premise on its head.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that the Avatar state might actually be a curse.
Ooh, interesting.
I mean, it's presented as this ultimate power, right? Access to all the past avatars. But some fans see a much darker side to it.
What's intriguing about this perspective is how it delves into the very nature of the Avatar spirit, Raava, the ancient spirit of light fused with the Avatar in a symbiotic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
This theory makes you consider, is this fusion truly a balanced partnership where the human Avatar maintains complete control, or could there be like a form of spiritual
A
dominance?
possession, almost.
Or a suppression of individual will when the Avatar state is triggered? It really makes you think about the cost of such immense power.
It does, especially when you think about Aang. His deep-seated reluctance and, well, genuine fear surrounding the Avatar state,
Yeah.
was that solely about the potential for destruction? Or was there perhaps an instinctive understanding, a subconscious awareness of this potential curse, as some theories suggest?
Exactly. Aang's hesitations weren't just a fleeting concern. They were a persistent struggle throughout the series.
Right.
This theory suggests that his fear ran deeper than just the raw power involved, hinting at a possible intuition about the potential loss of self.
Hmm.
And if we look at the origins of the Avatar in Legend of Korra, with Wan merging with Raava, it prompts the question, was this seemingly benevolent act entirely without unintended consequences for the human host across all subsequent Avatar lives?
But here's the real sticking point for me with this theory. If the Avatar state is this terrible curse, why do we see every Avatar ultimately embracing it,
Right.
relying on it in these critical world-saving moments? Doesn't that, argue against it being purely negative?
That's the core tension within this theory, and it raises a fundamental question about the nature of power and sacrifice.
Hmm.
Perhaps the overwhelming benefits, the wisdom and power of all those past lives are deemed necessary, despite the potential personal cost.
Unnecessary evil, maybe.
Or maybe the journey of mastering the Avatar state involves learning to harmonize with Raava and those past selves in a way that mitigates the risk of losing one's own identity. What does it say about the burdens placed upon the Avatar if their ultimate power comes with such a potential price?
All right, let's switch gears to a character whose arc is arguably one of the most compelling in the series, Zuko.
Oh, definitely.
There's a really interesting theory about whether his journey to becoming Fire Lord was less about his own choices and more about a predetermined destiny, possibly orchestrated by Uncle Iroh. What's your take on that?
This theory really shines a light on the almost prophetic nature of Iroh's guidance. We see him consistently steering Zuko, offering wisdom that seems to stem from a deeper understanding than just, Uncle Willy advice.
Yeah, it felt like more sometimes.
What's fascinating here is the idea that Iroh might have had a genuine vision or a profound intuition about Zuko's true path, perhaps even believing that his own claim to the throne was never meant to be. It makes you wonder if his seemingly passive stance on leadership was actually a deliberate act of facilitating Zuko's destiny.
And you can't ignore the potential influence of the White Lotus in all of this, right? They were this ancient network with connections across all the nations.
Yeah.
Could they have been subtly pulling strings, guiding Zuko, maybe even influencing Iroh's actions to ensure the right leader for the Fire Nation eventually emerged?
That's a very insightful connection. The White Lotus operated in the shadows, and their eventual unified support of Zuko's ascension certainly suggests a level of strategic foresight.
It definitely looks planned.
This theory asks us to consider if Zuko's journey wasn't just a personal one, but part of a larger, almost historical current being guided by these unseen forces. Furthermore, Iroh's consistent lack of ambition for the throne, coupled with his almost knowing understanding of Azula's instability,
Yeah, you saw that coming.
fuels this idea. Could he have foreseen her descent, solidifying his conviction that Zuko was the only viable future leader.
But then you have to consider the alternative. That Zuko's transformation was fundamentally about his own agency, his internal battle between light and darkness, his own hard-won choices. Was it destiny, or simply the hard work of a young man finding his moral compass?
Exactly. This is where the complexity of these fan theories lies. They often explore the interplay between fate and free will.
Yeah.
While the evidence for Iroh's guiding hand is compelling, Zuko's personal growth and his own decisions were undeniably crucial. This theory about destiny versus choice resonates so strongly because it mirrors our own real-world debates about how much control we truly have over our lives.
Okay, let's delve into a slightly more unsettling area now. Ko the Face Stealer.
Ah, Ko. Creepy.
We know the tragic story of him stealing Karuk's wife's face. But the fan community has posed a chilling question. Who else might have fallen victim to this ancient and terrifying spirit?
This is where the lore gets really shadowy and invites some fascinating, if creepy, speculation. One prominent theory suggests that a close advisor to Avatar Roku might have encountered Ko and suffered the same fate.
Roku's advisor. Why them?
Well, the reasoning here is that someone in such close proximity to an avatar would likely possess significant knowledge and potentially secrets that Ko, as an ancient and powerful spirit, might have sought or deemed dangerous. It makes you wonder about the unseen sacrifices made throughout the avatar cycle.
That makes perfect sense. Someone in that inner circle would have access to all sorts of sensitive information. And then there's the even more ancient speculation, the idea that Ko might have claimed victims even before Avatar 1, before the formal establishment of the Avatar cycle.
Right.
That would give him a truly immense and terrifying history.
Precisely. Ko's origins are already shrouded in mystery, and his confirmed existence spans millennia. The idea that he might have interacted with humans even before the Avatar cycle as we know it broadens his role in the world's ancient history and adds another layer to his unsettling power.
Yeah.
And of course, no discussion of Ko's potential victims in the fan community is complete without at least a nod to the enduring question, what happened to Jet?
Oh, poor Jet. You're right, it's become this legendary unanswered question in the fandom, a bit of a running joke.
Totally.
But it speaks to the audience's engagement with even minor characters and their desire for narrative closure, even in dark corners of the lore. Though, as we said before, that one's definitely more for laughs than serious consideration in the same vein as Roku's advisor.
Indeed. But it highlights how even unresolved minor plot points can fuel the fan base's imagination and lead to these kinds of speculative, sometimes humorous, theories.
Now let's tackle a theory that brings up some really interesting ethical questions about a seemingly benevolent force.
The lion turtles.
Ah, the big guys.
We know they bestowed bending upon humanity. But some fans propose that their motivations weren't entirely altruistic, that there might have been a hidden, perhaps even negative agenda behind this gift.
This theory often begins by re-examining the lion turtles' initial actions. They didn't just give bending. They first took away energy bending when humans left their cities.
Oh, right, I forgot about that part. This act raises questions about control and their ultimate intentions in later granting elemental bending. Was it a genuine act of generosity or a strategic redistribution of power with underlying motives? It forces us to consider the implications of powerful beings intervening in human affairs.
That's a really insightful point. It reframes their actions not as a simple gift, but as a more complex exchange. And the theory goes on to highlight the chaos that followed Wan's exile from the Lion Turtle City. These were ancient, incredibly wise beings. Surely they foresaw the potential for conflict and imbalance that could arise with humans wielding such power across the world. So why proceed?
Exactly. Their immense age and wisdom suggest they wouldn't have acted impulsively. The theory also points to their eventual disappearance from the world.
Yeah, where'd they go?
At a time when their guidance arguably might have been most needed, as humanity grappled with the very powers they bestowed. This withdrawal fuels the suspicion that their motives might not have been entirely selfless. It makes you wonder if their intervention was more about their own concerns than humanity's benefit.
But then there's the counter-argument, the more charitable interpretation. Perhaps the lion turtles believed that humanity had reached a stage where it needed to find its own way.
Find its own catch.
To learn and evolve through its own triumphs and mistakes. Maybe their era of direct intervention had simply come to an end.
That's a crucial alternative perspective, and it speaks to the cyclical nature of many mythologies where divine beings step back to allow humanity to determine its own fate. It suggests a belief in humanity's potential for self-governance, even amidst struggle.
Okay.
This brings us back to that core theme of guidance versus autonomy, this time on a global scale. What does it say about the responsibility that comes with great power, both for those who wield it and those who bestow it?
Okay, now for a bit of a lighter note, because the Avatar fandom is wonderfully creative and often hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Let's dive into some of the wildest community theories out there. Prepare for some truly imaginative leaps.
I'm ready to have my mind bent. The sheer creativity of the fandom never ceases to amaze me.
First up, we have the truly out there idea that Toph is actually Soyen's biological father.
Wait, what?
And the even more wonderfully bizarre part, the supposed mother is the boulder.
Walls! No way! The boulder.
You just have to appreciate the sheer absurdity of that image.
You absolutely do. This theory, while clearly not intended to be taken seriously, likely stems from the limited information about Surin's parentage and the fans' enduring affection for Toph's strong and independent character. It's a testament to the fandom's playful engagement with the lore.
Then there's the legend of the cabbage merchant, who, despite his repeated misfortunes and destruction of his wares, always seems to bounce back.
I cabbages.
The theory: he's secretly a resilient spirit, maybe even a minor earth spirit, explaining his uncanny ability to survive all that chaos.
This theory has become a beloved inside joke within the fandom for good reason. The cabbage merchant's persistent bad luck has made him an iconic figure, and this whimsical theory provides a delightfully absurd explanation for his unwavering resilience.
Here's one that tries to explain a visual detail that fans have long discussed: the theory that Azula is a reincarnation of a powerful fire sage, which is why she's able to produce those unique and intense blue flames.
Yeah, the blue fire. This theory attempts to provide a logical, lore-based explanation for Azula's distinct firebending.
Makes sense, kind of.
Blue flames are often associated with greater heat and mastery, and the reincarnation idea connects her exceptional talent to the spiritual history and traditions of the Fire Nation.
And then there's the darkly humorous theory that tries to account for Momo's absence in Legend of Korra. That Appa, in his old age, and perhaps a moment of confusion,
Well,
might have accidentally eaten him.
oh no, not Momo.
Definitely not a serious theory, but it always elicits a reaction.
It's certainly a theory born of the long gap between the two series and the characters' changing circumstances. Purely comedic, of course, and definitely not supported by any actual evidence, thank goodness.
Finally, one of my personal favorites from the truly wild category: the steadfast belief held by some that Sokka's space sword, after he threw it, somehow defied all physics and actually landed on the moon.
Chuckles. The
Yeah.
space sword on the moon. This theory perfectly encapsulates the blend of Sokka's inventive spirit and the boundless imagination that the Avatar world inspires.
It really does.
While scientifically impossible within the show's context, it speaks to the fans' deep affection for Sokka and their willingness to embrace the fantastical elements of the narrative.
So after this exhilarating journey through the landscape of Avatar fan theories, we come back to our initial question. Based on the points we've explored, which of these theories might actually hold a bit of water?
Well, considering the consistent hints and the narrative weight given to Iroh's wisdom, the theory that Zuko's path to becoming Fire Lord was guided, if not entirely predetermined,
Seems likely.
seems quite plausible. The influence of Iroh and perhaps even the White Lotus suggests a subtle orchestration of events.
And on the more mysterious side of things, Ko.
The idea that Ko the Face Stealer has claimed more victims than just Kuruk's wife feels almost like an undeniable truth. Given his ancient existence and the vastness of history within the Avatar world, it would be surprising if Kuruk's tragedy was an isolated event.
Yeah, there have to be more.
There are likely many more untold stories of those who met his gaze.
And the lion turtles and their potential hidden agenda, are they evil masterminds?
Probably not. While the questions surrounding their initial actions and their eventual disappearance are certainly thought-provoking, the evidence doesn't strongly suggest a malevolent intent. It's more likely that their intervention in human affairs was a chapter that concluded, perhaps reflecting a belief in humanity's need for self-determination.
Right, stepping back.
So, as we bring this deep dive into the fascinating realm of Avatar fan theories to a close, let me leave you with this. These theories, ranging from the insightful to the wonderfully bizarre, are a testament to the enduring power and rich complexity of the Avatar universe. They invite us to look beyond the surface, to ponder the unspoken, and to engage with the story on a deeply personal level. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, where the line truly lies between fan speculation and the potential for undiscovered truths within this beloved anime.